Want the inside scoop for what's happening here in Panama City Beach, from soaring inventory to shifting prices? This video has everything that a buyer or seller needs to know. This is Marc on the Market, where every single month I'm going through what's happening here in Panama City Beach. We're gonna get started with the market stats for Panama City Beach overall. And what we see is actually a change in the trends that we've seen the past couple months. Since January of this year, we've seen inventory increase. But this past month, for the first time since January, we saw that it slightly decreased a little bit. So we're still sitting at about 12 and a half months of inventory, but this may be a sign that the market's starting to shift back towards a neutral market. Sold to list ratio is also on the climb. This past month, it reached up to 92%, which is still low compared to when the market was super hot back in 2021. But we are trending back towards a neutral market, it looks like. Days on market, now that we're in the summertime, it seems like it's coming down a little bit. We're at 102 days on average for that. And then once we get into the summary statistics, we see that the average sale price on what has actually sold is down 7% year to date, so still bad for selling. And then just looking at June of 2025 versus 2024, we see that it's down about 6.5%. Median sale price is also down. It was down 4% year to date, but we do see this past month that it was up 1.22%, so that's a good sign. The number of sold listings year to date, it's down 11%, so still a lot less buyer demand. But this past month, it was only down 2.5%. So hopefully buyers are coming back into the market. If we look at the new listings hitting the market, we'll see that for this past month, it was actually down. So that may be contributing towards that inventory number coming down. And the next zip code that we're gonna look at specifically is 32408. And we see that same trend. The inventory came down in this one. Inventory over here is pretty high though. This is like the Bay Point area, Lower Grand Lagoon. They're at 14 months of inventory, so higher than the Panama City Beach average. Days on market is a little bit higher too, at 117 days on average. Sold to list ratio is a little bit lower at 90.5%. And that might make sense since it has a higher inventory, so there's more options for buyers to choose from in this particular zip code. Things are sitting a little longer, so it would make sense that you may be able to negotiate a better deal if you're a buyer. Average sale price, if we look at that, not as bad. So this year, it's only down about 2% year to date. If we look at last month specifically though, it's down about 8 or 9%. Median sale price is down about 4% year to date. And then just looking at June this year versus last year, it was down about 10%. If we look at the number of sold listings over in this zip code, last month they had the same number of closings as 2024, so that's a good sign. But year to date, they're down 14%. And then if we look at the number of new listings hitting the market over here, year to date, they're down about 5%. And last month they were down about 14%. So that definitely contributed to that lower inventory number that we saw. If we go over to the 32407 zip code, this is that central part of Panama City Beach, around Breakfast Point, Edgewater. What we see is absorption rate. It also inched a little bit higher. So they're at 12.17. So not much of a change. Sold to list ratio definitely came up though over here. They're at 94.5%. So this probably will be the best one in our area. Days on market, right around 88 days. So this is lower than that Panama City Beach average. If we look at the average sale price, we see last month they were down 8%. Year to date, they're down about 4.5%. If we look at the median sale price, we see that they were up last month, so 2.8%. Year to date though, they're down about 2.4%. Next, we're gonna look at the number of sold listings just to see how much buyer demand is there in this zip code. Year to date, they're down about 10%. Last month though, they're about 4%. And then lastly, we'll look at the number of new listings hitting the market here. Year to date, they are up 4%, so there are more listings than last year, more competition for sellers, but this past month, there was less listings that hit the market compared to last year. So the last zip code that we're gonna look at is 32413. This is the west end. We see for absorption rate that it's lower. It's at 10.9 months, and it did drop a little bit this past month. Days on market is also lower at 93 days. And then sold to list ratio, a little bit higher than that last zip code. It's 92.2%. And then lastly, days on market, 93 days. I think I already said that, but average sale price. Last month it was down 3%. Year to date, they're down 10%. So this one seems to be performing the worst in terms of average sale price. There's also a lot of new construction. Some of it is lower price too, so that may be contributing to that. Median sale price is down just 1%, but year to date it's down about 9%. Number of sold listings in this zip code last month also even as last year, so that's good. 90 sales for June, both in 2025 and 2024, but year to date we're down about 11%. And then if we look at the number of new listings hitting the market, this past month it was flat. Year to date we're up about 5%. And the last thing that I'm going to look at is the interest rates, because we have seen a little bit of a shift that's favorable for buyers. It's come down over this past few months. So May 29th, we kind of hit a high of 6.9%, according to Freddie Mac's primary mortgage market survey. And since then, we've slowly been coming down, and we're actually sitting at 6.67% for the interest rate, which we haven't really seen since April of this year. So that is it for this week. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and reach out with any questions or concerns.